Ani bojon den we magnaduk. Hamas an apkin gay go na be indijnikas. Gene be guk shabigaj wat and donjaba. Gnoje and dodem. Hello everybody, it's Bob Gizik from the Great Lakes, and I'm here to talk about spring. The power of spring. The magical, beautiful essence of what spring really is. Of course, according to me and my family. I'm Ojibwe. I live way in the bush at Ojibwe, far, far away. And up there, there's many stories of when things happen in the springtime. And I definitely want to share some of these with you. So years ago, they used to talk about the power of Zigwan. I want you to say Zigwan. It means like pouring. And it's in reference to the water that's being poured onto the earth. And they believe that there's a spirit called Zigwankwe that lives at the bottom of the lakes. And this spirit has the power to call upon the thundering spirits from the west. And when they come in the springtime, of course they shoot their lightning and they crash and thunder with the flapping of their wings, breaking the ice. Of course, causing spring to happen. The Thunderbirds come here during the springtime for one reason, and one reason only. They want to eat the serpent's eggs. That's correct. Where I come from, we believe that there's serpents that live deep inside the ground. And they have a massive tunnel system that goes from lake to lake. And of course, the fighting that happens between the serpents and the Thunderbirds, those great battles that take place, of course, which creates all of the rain and the storms that happen, all of the high winds. We need that to live. It's through their existence, the Thunderbird and the serpent, that we're able to have life here on earth. And that's why we have reverence for both. And I'm going to tell you a Thunderbird story. One that I heard when I was just a little boy. Something that I heard many, many times growing up. And of course, it's the great story of a place called Ojibwe. Ojibwe is a very sacred place. It's a big mountain where there's lots of sacred things on top of there. This happened in the spring, the story I'm going to tell you. In our language, we call this type of a story Otsukan. I want you to repeat after me. Otsukan. Very good. I heard you. I did. So Otsukan means like a teaching. It means something that happened in real life a long time ago that helps us learn to live here on this earth. And so I'm going to tell you this Otsukan, the sacred story of how Thunder Mountain came to be and what happened afterwards. So years ago, like I was saying, many, many moons ago, many, many winters ago, there was a spirit at this lake, this beautiful little lake. Of course, this lake was called Pahigan Gaming. And it means like a hide lake. It must have been scraping or making moose hides there, I don't know. But that's what it's called, Pahigan Gaming. But at this lake, there was a spirit in human form, fishing away, catching beautiful, nice, big rainbow trout. Big trout. You know, those delicious kind. While he's fishing away there, catching fish with his stick, all of a sudden, this other spirit comes by. This spirit is Nanabujo. Nanabujo is a very powerful spirit that can shapeshift, that can do many different things. One of the most powerful spirits around is Nanabujo, is responsible for creating the way the land looks now. All the mountains and everything. Nanabujo is the one that had the power to do that. Very powerful. But anyway, Nanabujo seen this other spirit fishing on the side of the lake. and walked over to him. That other spirit's name was Pakwas. I want you to say Pakwas. Huh. Not bad. Okay, so anyway, Nana Buju sees Pakwas. Nana Buju says, hey, how come you get to eat all those big delicious fish? How come you get to have everything? Pakwas said, I'm just minding my business here. I'm just eating some fish, minding my own business, living my own life. Nana Buju said, I don't think so. Those are my fish, my lake, I want you out. So Nana Buju told Pakwas, those are my fish, that's my lake. That's all mine, even the fish that you're putting in your own mouth is mine. Pakwas said, no way, I'm just minding my own business here, I'm not bothering anybody. You have to leave me alone. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Pakwas and Nana Buju, they're related. They're always fighting all the time. So this was normal for them. But anyway, Nana Buju says, well, it looks like we're going to have to fight to the death. Of course, they're always fighting to the death for everything, those two. But they're always just playing around. So Nana Buju takes off his pack sack, takes out a beautiful blanket made out of rabbit skins. And he says, whoever has the most spiritual power will win. Whoever has the most spiritual power can have the fish in this lake. Pakwas said, well, I thought we were going to fight to the death. Well, Nana Buju says, well, we can't. We're both spirits. We can't die. That's all we do is fight. Nobody dies. Pakwas said, okay, well, let's have a spiritual battle to see whose power is more. So, of course, Nana Buju grabs that beautifully woven rabbit blanket. Wabuwean, they call that. I want you to say Wabuwean. Very good. I heard you too, again. But anyway, so now Nana Buju has this beautiful rabbit blanket. He reaches down into the earth, the sacred earth, and he grabs some of that dirt and puts it in that beautiful rabbit blanket and rolls it up, just like this. And then he unrolls that blanket, and as that blanket unrolls, two beautiful, amazing, healthy porcupines came plopping out. You could hear them plop, plop. Two of them. And of course they looked at each other and they started laughing and they started giggling. And Nana Buju started laughing too and said, look what I made out of that dirt. I made two beautiful porcupines. Pakwas said, well, that's not bad. That's pretty good. So Pakwas rolls up this blanket and he unrolls it. And wow! Bam! A baby deer comes plopping out of that blanket. It was like Bambi almost, just struggling to walk, and all of a sudden it got its grips and starts hopping away. It had beautiful spots on it. Real beautiful, beautiful spots. Pakwas said, look what I did. Look what I did. I made such a beautiful deer out of that dirt. Nana Buju said, here, give me that. Took that rabbit blanket. Give me that. He grabbed some dirt, he threw it in there, and he rolled it up. He's kind of grumpy. He says, you better watch out, Pakwas. This next thing that's going to come out of this blanket is powerful and it's big. So Nana Buju grabs that blanket, gives Pakwas a sly look, and says, you better watch out, Pakwas. You better watch out. You better see what comes out of my blanket. It's going to be so big. It's going to be so powerful. There's nothing you can do. My power is greater than yours. So Pakwas says, go ahead. Of course, Pakwas was like the more polite one out of the two. Nana Buju was a bragger. You know what a bragger is? It's when you're always bragging about something. So don't be a bragger. So anyway, that's how Nana Buju was. So Nana Buju grabs that blanket, puts some dirt in there, rolls it up. again gives that Puckywas a sneer look and unrolls that blanket. And wow, oh my goodness. Wouldn't you know it? A great big giant moose comes out of there. Just thump. Poof. Bam. That moose was big. It was bigger than normal. It had great big horns on it. The biggest rack of moose horns you can ever see. That moose was strong. It had big muscles, big legs, big strong back, powerful, proud, standing up there like this. Nana Boozhoo said, look at I turned that dirt into that beautiful moose. All of a sudden, Nana Boozhoo started to sing his bragging song. Way-ya, ya, 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 way-ya, ya, ya, yo. But Puckywas said, hold on a minute. Nana Boozhoo's like, what? He says, give me that blanket. He grabs that blanket. Puckywas says, hold on a minute here. It's not over yet. Give me that blanket. He grabs that beautiful white rabbit blanket. Grabs some dirt. He holds it up to the sky. Puts it in that blanket, rolls it up. And then just gently unrolls it. And wouldn't you know what came out of that blanket? Something nobody expected. Boak Sin. A thundering stone. Out came out of that blanket was a tiny little stone about this big, perfectly round, made by the thundering spirits way, way far away in the land of Apungishmuk, where the thunderbirds live. That stone just rolled on the ground. Apungishmuk means west. I want you to say Apungishmuk. It means the sun, where the sun goes down. Apungishmuk. Not bad. So anyway, this rock is rolling on the ground. Nana Boozhoo starts laughing. He says, he's like, what's that? That's only a stone. That's nothing. Look at my moose. Look at my two beautiful porcupines. And all he could come up with was a little baby deer and a stone? He says, I'm the winner. And of course he raises his arms up and he starts singing his bragging song. Waya ya 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 yo. Puckywas said, just stop. Stop for a minute. And he grabs that stone, he picks it up off the ground. He says, watch this. And he throws that stone on the ground. Boom! You could hear thundering all in the ground. Crashing and thundering. That ground started to move and shake, and it started to grow like this. Puckywas started to sing his song. And as he's singing that song, that ground started to move up and it started to grow real, real big. And lightning started to strike down all over the place. Lightning here, lightning there. Everywhere you could hear was thunder. Thunder was coming out of the trees. It was coming out of the water. It was coming out of the ground. It was coming out of the sky. It was even coming out of Puckywas' mouth. Out of his mouth. And he still sang that song as that ground rose up high, real high, and it formed a great big mountain. A big, big mountain. Puckywas said, look, Nana Boozhoo, look at the power I have. Nana Boozhoo was scared and was running away. Puckywas said, where are you going? And he just seen a white rabbit hopping off. That was Nana Boozhoo. He shape-shifted into a rabbit and took off. And Puckywas sat there on the top of that mountain, big mountain, and said, I told you my power is bigger than yours. I told you I would have just gladly shared my fish with you. None of this could have happened if you just would have been nice to me. And that's the story of how Nimki Ojibwe was made. That's a story of how that great sacred mountain came to be here on this earth. It happened between the great powers of Nanabuju and Pakiwas in the springtime, using the power of the thunder. And that's what happened. But that's not the only thing that happened there. I want to tell you a little bit more of what happened. This story that I'm going to tell you next, this Otsukan, remember the word Otsukan, is about what happened at that mountain. Listen carefully. I'm only going to say this once. If you miss out, holy shucks, you're missing out on a real good story. But anyway, long time ago, this is after that mountain was made. The people knew that mountain was sacred. They knew that it was special. And there was a young lady. She became of age. She was turning into a woman. And when that happens, a long time ago, our people would put them into a special wigwam, like a special hut made out of birch bark. And of course, the grandparents would visit her, and the dad would visit her. The dad would make special dishes, like a cup, a spoon, a plate, and say, I made these for you because you're becoming a woman. And they would talk to her about life, different things, how to be a good person, how to work, how to have good manners and be respectful to people. Of course, those old grandmothers, they were always talking about that. Be polite, be nice wherever you go. Create relatives wherever you go. They would tell her those things. Don't be stingy with your life. Don't be stingy with the things you have. Always give your things away all the time. Because that's the Anishinaabe way. That's Anishinaabe Otsuan. Your whole life should be a giveaway. Everything we get from this earth is given to us all the time, all the time, all the time. So we have to give all the time, all the time, all the time. Those are the natural laws. That's what real Chinook Nage Wininanen is. That's what the real laws are. And they kept talking to her like this, giving her teachings. And she was happy. She was feeling great. Having all these beautiful education being taught to her by her family. That's really special. And then they'd leave. They'd leave her there alone to tend her fire by herself in that wigwam. But something happened. As she was being left alone, this young, handsome man would show up at that wigwam. Not much older than her. And he was a real handsome person, let me tell you. He had nice big lips, real long hair. Face was all bear greased up. He had ornament, red Indian paint on his face, on his hands even. Real sharp, deadly shirt and pants. Magnificent. He came strolling into that wigwam, and right away she says, I don't think you should be here. Oh no, it's okay, he said. He was a charmer, he was a talker. He says, I just want to come in and sit here. I just want to know what you're doing. Next you know, they start talking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Her eyes just had hearts in them. She just thought he was the most handsome thing around. More handsome than a deer. More handsome than the most colorful trout. More handsome than a partridge. That's what she felt about him. And of course, he knew it too. So he starts talking to her, and they start playing little games in there, and he started to get hearts in his eyes too. Boing, boing, boing. Finally, I hear somebody coming, so he'd take off, and the grandparents would come again. They'd give her more teachings, and then he'd take off. And then when they're gone, he'd go back. This happened for many, many days. I don't know, like maybe 7 days, 8 days. They hung out in there. But the grandparents and the parents never knew that he was visiting her, because that would not be allowed. That would be like breaking the law if he's going to visit her. You're not allowed to do that. But he did anyway. So finally, the time was up. It was for her to come out, and the family was so happy. They're like, one of these days you're gonna find a nice man, maybe. Maybe you'll find a good partner, and they'll take you off into the bush, and you'll go live a good life out there. She says, I think I've already found somebody. They're like, what? What do you mean you found somebody? You're not allowed. Well, while you were gone, somebody was sneaking into the wigwam, and I kind of fell in love with this person, and that's what happened, and I'm really in love with them. And the dad's like, oh my goodness, I want to meet this young man immediately. And she's like, he's going to be coming here. He wants to meet you tomorrow. The dad says, okay, I can't wait to meet him. And the grandmother just looked around and didn't say anything. Sure enough, morning came. The sun was rising up in the east. You can smell just the beautiful freshness of the earth that spring has to bring. You can smell even the birds' songs. They bring out a beautiful fragrance in the air. And all of a sudden, out of the shadows, as that sun was rising up in the east, a figure appeared. It was that young boy. It was that young man. It was that young person. It was that young human. He starts walking towards them. The dad, he had a stick behind his back. And all of a sudden the grandmother says, Gawin, don't. He looks, why? That young boy doesn't have a shadow. Look, he's walking, he has no shadow. The dad says, Shtataha. Wah, wah. So he threw that stick off to the side. That young boy came up. He introduced himself. He was a very pleasant, very polite young person. He says, I want to come here and apologize for my rude behavior. I knew I shouldn't have visited her in the lodge during that time. She was becoming a woman, and that's a special time for you and the family. But my heart was drawn to there, and sometimes my heart overpowers me, and I couldn't stop it. I had to see her. And I want to take her with me to go live in the forest. And the dad says, are you a good hunter? He says, I'm a good hunter. I was raised in the traditional way of this land and the sky. I lived all my life. I know how to live here. I know how to take care of her. The grandmother nudged the dad and said, he's a manado. He's a spirit. Don't say anything. Don't say a word. Father said, aho. Aho. So that was it. The grandmother said, yes, please take her, go in peace. You know where we are, come visit. I will. So he took her by the hand, and his heart was thumping, and they started to walk off into the forest. And they start to walk all the way up that place called Nimki Ojibwe, that sacred mountain I was telling you about, that Pakiwas and Nanabuju made. They started walking all the way up to the top. And once they got to the top, it was beautiful up there. There's a lake right there. You remember that lake where they were fishing at earlier? Pakiwas and Nanabuju? Well, that lake is right there. Pahigan Gaming. And when you're on top of that mountain, you look down, you can see that lake there. It's beautiful. Maybe one day you'll go there. Maybe one day we'll go there. But anyway, they get to the top of this mountain. There's a great big cliff that goes all the way down. Ojibwe, that's what that means, a cliff. Ojibwe, like a mountain that has a cliff on it. Ojibwe. Nimki Ojibwe, Thunder Mountain. So right away he says, let's build a home. So they start getting some stones. And they start making a circle with those stones and piling more stones on top of them. All the way around, more and more stones all the way around. Finally the stones are kind of tumbling over. And she says, what's going on here? This doesn't look like a regular home. I'm not used to this kind of a home. Oh, don't worry, in this house, it's like magic. I'll use my powers. When it rains, it won't rain on you. Only if you want it to. Whatever you want, it'll happen in here. Whatever weather you want, temperature, anything like that. It'll be made specifically just for you. Even during the most powerful of storms, you'll be comfortable. She goes, oh, okay. He says, this is your home. We'll call this Asini Swasaning, the rock nest. And she says, well, I'm really hungry and I'm really impressed by your amazing construction skills in making this rock nest, but I'm starving. He's like, no problem. So he starts walking towards the edge of the cliff. That thing goes straight down, like for a long, long ways. Like it's not a little cliff. Like it's a big, big cliff. Like anybody, if you fell off that cliff, you're going straight to heaven. Like there's no surviving that. Like at all. Like, so if you're ever there, you stay away from that cliff. Or you might be taking another sort of a trip, if you know what I mean. But anyway, that young man, he starts walking towards the edge of that cliff. He says, I'll be right back, and he jumps off. She's like, no! She runs over to the edge of that cliff and looks over like this. Oh my goodness! All of a sudden a great big thunderbird flew up. That thing was big, massive. It had every color in the rainbow in its feathers. It was beautiful, big and strong. She didn't know it, but she married a thunderbird. And that thunderbird flew up and it flew all the way down to that lake, and it swooped down up like this and it went flapping into the forest. It swooped down. It came back up again, twirled around. Fire was coming from its tail. When it flapped its wings, you could hear thunder crackling, and it circled around like this, made 4 sacred circles, and then whoosh, right back down into that nest. Just like that. And it had a deer. So of course they feasted on that beautiful deer. She sang songs to that deer. Thank you for giving your life for us. Thanks for giving your future for us so that we could live. Thanks for giving us everything that you have. And she was happy because she had this amazing, incredible husband that was a thunderbird. Like, who wouldn't be happy? So anyway, time went on. You know, quite a few years went by. All of a sudden she says to her husband, there's something wrong with my stomach. Oh? That thunderbird walked over in human form, and he put his ear up against her stomach. And he could hear it was thunder he could hear in her stomach. And when that thunder crackled in her stomach, you could see lights of just flashing from her eyes. Lights, little lights coming out of her ears. Even when she spoke, when that thunder was happening, there was lights coming out of her mouth. She was pregnant. She was going to be a mom. So of course he kept going hunting, bringing back nice beaver, nice fish, nice, all nice big fat squirrels, all these beautiful things to eat, muskrats. Oh, she loved to eat muskrat tails. She used to take those muskrat tails and put them on the fire there and nibble on them after taking the skin off. That's a real Anishinaabe delicacy, a special treat. It's like a candy almost. Nice and fat. So anyway, she's eating and she's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Finally her stomach was like this. Like this. Like it was so big she couldn't even walk. She could not even walk. So he'd lift her up, take some steps. She'd take some steps. Doosh, doosh, doosh. Holding her great big belly. Doosh, doosh, doosh. Finally she says, I think it's time. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of water came outside of her. Her water broke. Before you have a baby, that's what happens. Your water breaks. I don't know much about all that stuff, so I'm not going to get into it with you. But I know that's what happens. So water came out of her. And next thing you know, she says, I'm going to have a baby, I'm going to have a baby. So that Thunderbird ran over there and made a beautiful nest underneath a tree. And said, hold on to that tree. Stand up and hold on to that tree and pray. So she's praying, oh, I hope this baby comes out real quick. I hope it comes out real fast. All of a sudden, thump. The baby came out. Just like that. Easy peasy. Nice and easy. But it wasn't a baby. It was an egg made out of stone. Then she went to another tree, held on to that tree and started praying and all that. Thump! Another egg. Then she went to another tree. Thump! Thump! Thump, thump, thump! Thump, 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 thump. All over that mountain she's laying eggs. Stone eggs. Made out of stone. She did that for a long time. She was pretty tired after. Finally he says to her, dear, come with me, my sweetie. I think you're all done now. Come lay down. Let me take care of you. You look so tired. She's like, yeah, I'm pretty wiped out. She was all sweaty and everything, and she was like really exhausted. Can you imagine laying a whole bunch of eggs made out of stone that are pretty big all over a mountain? She was pretty tired. So he takes her into a Sini Swasaning, that rock nest. I want you to say a Sini Swasaning. Let's try it again. A Sini Swasaning, the rock nest. So he takes her in there, he wraps his arms around her, he says, oh, I'm so proud of you. I just love how you did that. That's a miracle. Of course, that's a miracle. Whenever a baby is born, that's a miracle. That's like a gift straight from the spirit world. Oh, she was happy. They were happy. They're going to have their own family. Couldn't have been more happy. But she's like dozing off. She's like, oh, I can't keep awake anymore. She's like real tired. And he's like, he was tired too from watching her. He's like, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm going to go to sleep too. You just lay here with me. Everything is going to be fine. We'll wake up in the morning. Bad mistake. Let me tell you, kids, that was a bad mistake. Because as she was laying those eggs, on those stone eggs on top of that mountain, down at the lake, Pahigan Gaming, at that lake, there was a whirlpool forming like this. And in that whirlpool, it kept getting faster and deeper and faster and stronger and faster and more depth into it. And if you were to look at that whirlpool, you would see little horns, little tails sticking out. You'd see little hands and feet. That whirlpool was just chock full of serpents. Serpents are big. They're 30 feet long. They got little arms and legs. They got horns on their head. They're powerful. The power of the underworld. They call that Namiing. There's many things that live underneath there. And they came out of that whirlpool as they were sleeping. And they started to slither up that mountain. Quietly. Without making a noise. You couldn't even hear the slithering. That's how quiet they were. And they were after one thing, and one thing only. Those Thunderbird eggs. That's what they were after. The leader of those serpents, his name was Insagama. That means like a spiritual leader. Insagama. I want you to say Insagama. Start off with the N. N-za-ge-ma. N-za-ge-ma. Nzagama. Now let's put it all together. Nzagama. Not bad. Not bad. Did pretty good. So anyway, Nzagama is the leader. And he's a white serpent. Very powerful. He's the boss. He goes up in there and right away he snatches 2 of those Thunderbird eggs in his mouth and he swallows them. Like that. Wow. All of a sudden, crash! Thunderbirds came from a Pungashmuk from the west. They came from all over the west. The whole sky was covered with Thunderbirds. You could just see the lightning crashing down and the thunder. The whole mountain was shaking. And there was a great big battle that took place instantly between the great serpents and the Thunderbirds. And they battled for a long time. Nobody knows for how long, but it was a long time. They fought up there on that mountain. The serpents were fighting for those eggs, and the Thunderbirds were fighting to protect them. And of course, a great big fog surrounded that mountain. All the human beings, the 2-legged, the Anishinaabeg from the ground were looking up at that mountain. And all they could just see was lightning and loud noises and banging. Well, finally, the serpents had enough. That Insagama tried to go down that cliff, and as it went down, a Thunderbird shot lightning at it, but missed it. And it cracked that mountain. We call that crack Dashkabkak, a very sacred crack in the mountain. And Insagama got away. All those serpents got away. Out of that whole battle, the only eggs that were taken were those first 2. Only those first 2. So those Thunderbirds did pretty good. But those serpents, they went down into that tunnel. And then Insagama went all the way to the south. And he started traveling. He went all the way to Insagamagaming. Then he went to Kopkikikmiksing. Baka Kwegwinda. Mushgudnagaming. He started traveling all the way to Mendigwea Sin. Then to Genebekniashing. Then to Genebeguk Shabigajwat. Then to Genebeguk Jibiajwat. He started traveling, getting away under the tunnels in the ground. Made his famous escape. Everybody knows that up there where I come from. And when it took off, all those serpents followed it. And that's what made Chigenebek Zibing the Serpent River. But anyway, those serpents got away with those 2 eggs. And those thunderbirds, they were happy that only 2 eggs were taken. That's what happens sometimes in life. It's like if you're growing some plants. Maybe not all of them are going to make it. You know, sometimes in life that's what happens. Things come visit us and they go back to the earth. They go back where they come from. They come here to bring us something good and then they go back. That's the way it is. That's the way life is. So anyway, off with the serpents. The thunderbirds left too. And that lady that had those eggs, she grew to be very old, older than normal. Way older. She lived I don't know how many generations because she had the power of the thunderbird. And finally when she passed away, they took her back to her village and that's where she got buried, at Mushgudnagaming. That's where she was buried. And that's what happened at Thunder Mountain. But those eggs are still there. I seen them with my own 2 eyes. They're still there. That crack is still there. So our people go up there in the springtime to go fast, to go celebrate the power of the rains, to go celebrate the power of life. And they fast to where that crack is because they know there's no stronger medicine than the medicines that's used to protect your own children. So they go up there and they fast and they pray, asking for something, asking for wisdom and guidance and knowledge and good health and happiness, help and understanding. They go there to ask to be educated. And many, many people have gone up there. Thousands and thousands have gone there to get educated so that they can know something about how this world works. And I think about that place often. I think about its beauty and I think about all the magic that's there. We're living in a very beautiful, magical world. It's amazing how everything's connected, how when the springtime comes and the water comes, it's like when Mother Earth, when the water breaks, everything just comes to life. Water just gushes and goes everywhere. Water doesn't have a preference. Water doesn't have, it's not prejudice. It doesn't discriminate. Just everything that it comes into contact with, it gives it life, unconditionally. Gives it life, life, life. And I think about that. Maybe that's how we need to be. We need to be kind like that spring water that comes so generously, that gives everything in this world life, a heartbeat, a feeling. It gives us everything that we need to live. I think if we were more like that, I think the world would be a much, much better place. And I want to take this time to thank you and to thank the great thunderbirds and the great serpents and all of the spirits of the land that shared so much with us, that gave us this beautiful life here as we celebrate spring. So with that, be well. Wherever you are, I wish you good health and happiness, help and understanding. I pray that wherever you are, you have food, that your family is okay. And if things aren't the best, we hope that you receive goodness and greatness very quick in your life. So with that, I just want to say, Ang Gitchinen Dum, Yayamam Pi Gigononen Guk, Atsu Kanan, Abama Pi Guab Min Minwa, Nahao, Miwe. Thank you, everybody. See you.